Welcome to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast. This week we have Whit Merrifield is angry. The Yankees call up the Martian and the White Sox Mount Rushmore right now.
Welcome to the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Welcome, baseball family, to this episode of the Baseball Together podcast. My name is Brad, and I will be co-hosting this show with our guy, Mr. Brig, on my left. How are you this evening, Brigmeister?
I am exhausted, but I'm really happy to be here. So if I stumble over my words, you were warned.
You've had
one of those Mondays.
A couple of days. Oh, I was like a couple of days, man.
Yeah,
I've been tracking. And it's been is what it has been. It's been
happening. That's right.
But anyway, we're gonna get into things. We have a lot of really interesting things to talk about. There was not a whole lot of news, but there was some really interesting news. So we're gonna get into that, and then we're gonna get into the White Sox Mount Rushmore. This is a previously recorded segment from when I was at Briggs' house. What was this? Gosh, this was 3 months ago now.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Feels like it was last week, but man, that was like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, but before we do that, we want to remind you about Zaka Life CBD Balm. You can use it to help with sore muscles, aching joints, and even migraines. Put on the back of the neck. It works really well. It works great all together, all around, and it is marijuana free. Hit the link in the description. Head to ZakaLife.com and use the code BTPOD at checkout to save 5% on your order and support the show while you're at it. Okay, let's get into it and talk about Whit Merrifield. So he was hit by a pitch in the back of his head, and he is not happy about it. 94-mile-an-hour heater from Rockies reliever Jeff Criswell on the 3rd of September. And this is what he said after the game. He said, teams are bringing pitchers up that don't know where the ball's going. They throw 100 miles an hour, so we're like, all right, we'll see if he can get guys out. Just set up down the middle and throw it as hard as you can. It's driving me nuts, and I hate where the game's at right now with it. Do you think it's valid, Brig? Or do you think it's kind of like...
No, it's valid. It's totally valid. And I'll tell you why. Because I am of the opinion that we are losing the true nature, or what has become the true nature of starting pitching, right? The tacticians, the strategists, the pitchers, not fireballers, right? We got guys who go out there and they'll just pump Ched, and that's all they know how to do. They almost don't even need to keep a book on guys anymore because they just do their thing, and if it works, great. And if it doesn't, they'll try again next time. And teams are allowing that much rope.
So this is kind of my thing with it, is like, I feel like most pitchers have always just thrown as hard as they could. Right? Like, and I don't feel like it's new that guys don't necessarily know where it's going either. Like Joe Kelly a few years ago was just like, I'm gonna throw the ball as hard as I can, and it's gonna go where it's gonna go.
That's right.
He just happens to have more control than most guys, right? Like, I got hit in the back of the head by a fastball when I was in high school, and by a kid who threw pretty hard. It wasn't 95, but he threw pretty hard. He's a kid I knew. We had been playing with him for a few years, and one of my baseball friends, and he's like, dude, I threw that ball as hard as I could. I feel so bad. And I was like, yeah, it hurt and it sucked. But like, this is the thing. It's the risk you take getting into the batter's box. From a little kid. That's why some little kids are scared being in the batter's box, because they know the risk of being in the box is that you can get hit, right?
Sure.
It takes a certain level of courage from every ball player to get into that box and put your body on the line for this rock coming at you at however fast. If you're a kid, 50 miles an hour is really fast. When you're a grown man, 100 miles an hour is really fast. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
It's part of playing the game. You don't see a whole lot of NFL players complaining about, they don't like to get hit in the knees because that could end their career, right? So, I get guys don't want to get hit in the head because it can end your career, right? But at the same time, they're willing to take the risk to go do it. If Whit Merrifield doesn't want to take the risk of getting into the batter's box, the Braves will go find somebody else who is.
That they will. You're absolutely right about that.
At this point in my life, I'm not one of those people.
Right.
So even if I had the ability, I don't think I would go do it because I'm not willing to take that risk right now.
Yeah, but there is something to be said about having some control and having some awareness of where it's going to be. there is a relationship between the batter and the pitcher that needs to have some boundaries. Like the way the game has evolved, you don't throw at guys' heads anymore on purpose. You used to, and thank
Right.
God we've moved past it. But like,
Well,
I
because
don't
like
know.
Bob Gibson, right,
Yep,
has been
blind
lauded
as a
for
bat.
decades as one of those guys. It's like, yeah, he'll brush you back, he'll knock you down. It's like,
Yeah,
but for what?
right.
Right? Like, so like, I don't know. So I feel like you can't have
And
it
we
both ways. You can't have guys who you want to police the game by throwing at guys, and then also be like, well, but you can't. Like, you got to police
right.
it other ways, right? And so this is what who was it? Let's see here. Well, so Whit Merrifield, like one of the things he cited Mookie Betts breaking his hand earlier this year on a hit by pitch, right? And we've seen J.P. Crawford with the Mariners missed significant time with a broken finger because he got hit in the hand. Like a lot of guys are getting hit in the hand and breaking bones. And Tigers pitcher Shelby Miller kind of fired back on this because later on Whit Merrifield made some comments that suggested punishing pitchers for hitting batters. He said, I don't think that would be fair. I understand protecting hitters, but if somebody is trying to throw in and they miss and somebody unfortunately gets hit in the head, I don't think players should get fined for that or suspended. That especially would be silly. Like, because you
Out.
fine and suspend guys for intentionally hitting somebody in the back. You can't just
Yes,
throw out suspensions and fines because somebody got hit in the head. It happens. It's baseball. It's
I
baseball,
agree with
Susan,
that.
right?
That's baseball, Susan. Yep, I agree with that. But I do think if it's intentional, then we have a huge problem. I think that's the
Right.
big
Yeah,
differentiation.
absolutely.
But I want to know what the hit by pitch ratings are since they took away spider tack. Like
That's the next thing I was gonna say
like
is like,
let's just we got to see what that looks like, because I'm going
mhm,
to filibuster for a minute while you look, because if that definitely played a role in control, that's one thing. We've known guys who say it played a role in their injury prevention from the pitchers. And we know that it's also affected spin rate, and that has put batters at a disadvantage, which is part of the reason that they got rid of it. Any sticky substances at all made pitching almost an insurmountable feat, which it already is. But I mean, I don't know what the right answer is. This is a delicate situation because we want to protect hitters, and if sticky stuff will do it, then that's an argument there. It will cut down on the injuries to the arms with guys who are learning how to pitch that way. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you have to be really careful with head injuries though, which is why they keep upgrading batting helmets, and the equipment just keeps moving forward technologically. That's all
mhm,
good. When Giancarlo Stanton, when he was Mike Stanton, right, he got hit in the face and
mhm.
it shattered his face, you know?
Yeah.
So guys started
When you
wearing the
see,
guard.
that's what I say. You see a lot more guys wearing the C guards now, and
Yeah.
like, and I actually heard a conversation. There was somebody who was on third base, and he had a C guard, and he's talking to third baseman. He's like, "Dude, you got to get one of these." He's like, "No, I want people to see my face, and I think I got quick enough reflex so I can get out of the way." It's like, dude, no, like you don't want
Come
your
on, man.
face to get jacked up. Just get a C guard.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's this. So Major League Baseball cracked down on sticky stuff in June of 2021.
Right.
Okay. So in 2021, there were 2,112 hit by pitches.
Okay.
In 2022, there were 2,046. In 2023, there was again the exact same number as 2021, 2,112.
Whoa.
And this year, where it feels like it's like everybody's getting hit all the time, 1,819. We are
You're
not gonna.
kidding.
I don't think we're even gonna get to the 2022 number.
No. No, we won't. What do you think we'll break 2000? I mean, maybe.
I think I don't know because there's only a couple weeks left in the season. We might not break
Right.
2,000.
We might not. Okay. So if that's the case, then I'm going to take back what I said, because unless hit by pitch numbers had gone dramatically up, that
Right.
nullifies what I was trying to say, for sure.
And I was gonna make the same argument too. Like maybe that's what you bring back because it gives pitchers the sense that they have more control, gives batters a sense that pitchers have more control, but maybe
Yep.
that's not necessarily the case.
If the data doesn't support that, then the data doesn't support it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like it's one of those hazards of playing the game. If you're going to get in that batter's box, you have to be willing to. It sucks. You don't want to get hit by a pitch, but you have to be willing to take that risk if you're going to play baseball.
I think you're right. I think that is now my official position.
Excellent.
And
Let's
it
move
sucks. Okay.
on. The Yankees have called up Jasson Dominguez. Initially, they weren't going to call him up with roster expansions because they wanted to continue to play every day. In fact, Aaron Boone said it's important for him to continue to play right now. They want him to make sure he's getting everyday reps down in minor leagues. Well, it's been a week, and they've changed their mind, apparently.
Well, they've needed some changes, so that makes sense.
Right. So they called him up, and this is what and Boone said, Jason's going to play a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just bet.
So they want him to play every day, and now he's going to play every day. So in 2023, so his rookie status is still intact through the end of this year, at the very least, because he played 8 games in 2023. He got 33 plate appearances and hit 4 bombs. I think it's pretty easy to see why Yankee fans were upset that he wasn't called up and have been calling for it for a couple weeks. DJ LeMahieu was on the 10-day 10-day IL. I mean, he's coming back from Tommy John, so there's that. But you bring him up in DH, obviously. But DJ LeMahieu was on the 10-day IL with that right hip impingement, and he might not be back the rest of the season. So it makes sense that they have Dominguez up. Brig, what's the pulse on Yankee Nation with Jasson Dominguez coming up?
This information as of this recording is about an hour old, right? Maybe an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So the pulse is, having not looked and dipped my toe into the conversation, my personal opinion is this is fabulous. And I can speak on behalf of all Yankees fans by saying this is fantastic. there are a couple of guys on the roster who've been struggling to the point of dead weight. And I'm not going to say DJ's one of them, but DJ's one of them. And he's just not the same. He's not the same this year. I know you can justify his struggles all you want, but he's not the best guy on the field. He's just not. You know, and that's it. So the fact that like the Yankees need help, they're changing pitching up like crazy. If this guy can come and juice up the lineup, if he can be a good glove in the field, if he can be a clubhouse guy, like we'll take whatever we can get at this point, because right now it's all or nothing. All or nothing.
So a few years ago, I was talking about what I thought would be the holy trinity in the Mariners outfield. It was going to be Kyle Lewis, Jared Kelenic, and Julio Rodriguez. If you have in the Yankees outfield, if you have Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Jasson Dominguez, is that your holy trinity?
Boy, just about, if not exactly right. I don't know what else you could do. I'm just glad. So the best thing Juan Soto did for me, other than being a Yankee and being absolutely fantastic, is put Aaron Judge firmly in center field. I've been calling for a year and a half or two now that's where he needs to be starting, and we've seen it work.
Mm-hmm.
It's working. So
yeah, he's better out there than he is at DH, because it makes sense to have Stanton at DH.
That's the only place he can be. And I know, let me just say, I know I bag on Big G a lot, right? But he has been more productive this season, and the Yankees win more when he's in the lineup than they do when he's not. Have you seen that breakdown?
I haven't, but it makes sense because I feel like despite the strikeout numbers, despite the struggles when they happen, he's still scary to pitch to. You still cannot pitch to him. Like you can't make mistakes because he's going to punish you. And so like pitchers still have to be on when he's in the lineup, no matter how bad he is, because even when he's really bad, he's better than what, like I'd say at least 70% of the league still when he's in the box.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say 70, but he has the ability to miss and still score. That's the
Yeah.
the real problem. He doesn't even need to really square it up, and it'll go. So
yeah,
that's why
he's a behemoth of a man.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, let's go from offense to pitching for the Yankees. The Yankees have moved Nestor Cortez to the bullpen. He's not happy about it. Brig, do you want to tell us about Nasty Nestor moving to the pen?
Nasty Nestor, wow, I can do this. Nasty Nestor said, quote, obviously I was upset. That was his first line. Obviously I was upset. I feel like amongst all the starters, I've been the workhorse here. Once Garrett Cole went down, they picked me up to be the opening day starter. Not necessarily number one, but the opening day starter. I had to switch my routine there, and now they do this. It sounds like, okay, here's what I'm saying, okay? Has he been a workhorse? For sure. Have we relied on
Absolutely.
him? 100%. Okay. Are you going to do what it takes to win and do what's best for the team? You'd hope a guy would do that, right? The problem is he genuinely believes he's better in a starting role than he would be in the bullpen. That's the problem. If the writing was on the wall like it is with Clay Holmes, and you could sit there and say, I just want to be on the team still, right? Put me wherever you need me. Um, please, daddy, don't send me home, whatever, like that kind of stuff. Then yes, he should be grateful, and we should expect him to do whatever's best for the team. But Nestor's not in that situation, so it is complicated. And I think all of Yankees fans want whatever is going to help us win, right? At the end of the day, that's what we need.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It's
but
easier for the fans, though, to be like, yeah, send him to the bullpen. He's a great addition because he is a great piece to have in the bullpen.
he
Because
is.
if you need 3 innings out of him to get through the lineup one time, you can get it
You got it.
super easy out
Well,
of
he
him.
went 4 1/3 in his first relief appearance this season.
Yeah,
Yesterday, the day before? He went 4 1/3 and did great. So, man, with a bullpen that needs distance and capabilities of eating up innings and knocking guys down, like it is a sweet move.
oh, I think
But
it's a great move. Yeah, but
yeah,
I also see it from the player's perspective because guys, there's a status thing to being a starter that like you
100%.
can go out there and shove for 5, 6 innings, right?
Yep.
Instead of just like, hey, I'll just go out and do my work and face 3 batters and then get out of
Yeah.
there, right? Because
Right.
some guys like that's all they get. If they let
It's true.
somebody if somebody gets on base, and they don't get a double play, they get 3 batters and they're gone,
Yep.
regardless, right?
Exactly.
And so there is a status thing to being able to go out there and get guys out and get 2 times through the lineup and have the endurance to go out there and throw as hard as you can for 5 to 6 innings, or to be the closer to go in there in a high leverage situation and shut everybody down, right?
Right.
To come out to Hell's Bells or Enter Sandman or whatever your song is, and
Yep.
be the guy to shut it
Tommy
down. So I
Trumpet.
get why he's
Timmy
upset.
Trumpet. Yeah.
Yeah, Timmy
I
Trump.
do too.
I get why he's upset, but at the same time, though, like, and he did say later, he's like, "This is just what we're gonna do for now. I'll do
That's
it."
fine. He's got 163 and a third innings under his belt this season alone. He's got a 3.97 ERA going into tonight, actually.
Well, and
So
one
I
thing
don't know
too
if he's
that I
gonna.
feel like one thing I think too that this could do for him really well
Mm,
is give him a little bit of a breather between now and the playoffs.
yeah, because if this can pad the gap a little bit between Baltimore and New York, that'll be great. If this allows them to kind of play around a little bit with the closer, take some pressure off there, that'll be great. Which, boy, do we need that. Clay Holmes has 11 blown saves. That's the most in the majors in like the history of ever. It's not true, but you know what I mean? It's
You
an
don't know
incredible
Jose
number.
Mesa.
Yeah. but but it's just not working with Clay Holmes. So nobody has any faith in him anymore. I don't think he has any faith in
Right.
himself anymore. Truthfully.
Probably not. Yeah.
So if Nestor comes in middle relief and is able to do his thing and chew up 3 or 4, man, that's awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about that closing situation though. Like what's going are they doing closer by committee right now?
Yeah,
How are they doing
they
that?
are. They are, and they're bringing guys up and putting them back down, and bringing guys up and putting them back down. So it's not
That's
good.
scary. That's so
There was
scary.
talk about Luis Heel moving out of the starting role and into the closer role, and I think that would be a terrific thing to watch. I would love to see how that
Isn't
goes.
he a
If
guy who kind of needs to get into a groove though?
yeah, that's the problem because he'll come out and 2, 3, 4 batters sometimes, and then he'll settle down. I've seen it take
Yeah.
5. That's
Yikes.
the only problem with being a closer. But
Yeah, you don't get that window as a reliever at all. I wouldn't
nope,
want him as my closer for that reason.
nope. But I
So
still would
scary.
like to see it because the Yankees are playoff bound either way. So if we're going to tinker,
Right,
let's
yeah, they're
tinker.
gonna make the playoffs. Yeah, now's
Yeah.
the time to tinker with it for sure.
So tinker, and
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the things you tinker with. That's all.
Hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Love it. That's fascinating stuff going on in New York right now. A very, very good team with a lot of flaws.
Oh man, they play
They're
horrible
gonna be
baseball a lot.
they're gonna be fascinating come October to see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yep.
All right, let's go across the country for just a little bit and talk about my Mariners. The Mariners announced that they're going to stick with Jerry Dipoto as the president of baseball operations after this season. It sounds like he basically, because his contract is up after the season, it sounds like they're basically extending him for one more year through 2025. Then he's just going to play it by ear after that,
Yeah.
which I don't love, right?
Yeah.
But so some stuff about Dipoto. He was hired as GM in September 2015, right after the season was over, and then he's promoted to president of baseball operations after the 2022 season. It was like 2 days after they broke the drought. It was like the 2 days between the time they broke the drought and the playoffs started.
Yep.
They promoted him, and then they also promoted. I can't remember. Justin Hollander was something like he's something to do with scouting or player development. I think I can't remember exactly where he was. Maybe he's like a film guy. I don't know. But they promoted him to
So
be GM.
yeah.
And so they've been in those roles ever since. But this is the big thing. This is the big thing, Brig, is that Jerry Dipoto, when he put this team together, since he was the GM before the 2022 season, he has put together 5 winning seasons, teams with 5 winning seasons in 8 full seasons. This would be the 9th season right here. And I don't know. We'll see.
Pretty shaky right now. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, 2 games over 500 right now, but potentially
Yeah.
6 out of 9, right?
Sure.
That's the best stretch since the 95 to 2003 stretch where they had a winning record 8 times in 9 seasons.
Wow.
And people are calling for his head still
They are.
when he
Yeah.
put together this great team. I will say this. Since 2022, the Mariners have obviously taken steps back, and I think I brought this up before. I don't think that Dipoto is the problem. I think Justin Hollander is the problem because I don't think it's a coincidence that he got that role, and then things started going the opposite direction. But really, what it comes down to, Brig, because they fired the manager Scott Service on
Yeah.
August 11th after a 1-8 road trip. Then
Yeah.
Dan Wilson replaced him, but it feels like John Stanton said, Dipoto, if you want to keep your job, Scott's got to go. It's you or him.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, it feels a lot like that's what happened. And because I
Interesting.
always thought that they were going to be a package deal. I was like, as long as Dipoto's here, Service is going to be here because those two are their boys.
Yeah.
So,
Twite. Well, that's not the
yeah.
case. They have been
Well,
separated. The teacher put them on 2 sides of the classroom.
separate. They didn't just put them on 2 separate sides of the classroom. They are in separate classes now.
That's right. They called the principal. They've been separated.
Got the principal involved. Exactly right. And so they are in
Yeah.
separate classes. But I don't know. I think it's good. I like that they're bringing Dipoto back. Maybe you get rid of Hollander and give the keys entirely to Dipoto and let him put this thing back together and figure it out. Every GM, every president of baseball operations, everybody who puts together a roster has their blind spots. His obviously has been putting together a competent offense.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not pitching because the pitching staff is unreal.
Good to go.
And the bullpen is really good. They just got decimated by injuries. So they're not good right now because of that. But
for sure.
I don't know. I
That's
like
okay.
it.
That
I'm
happens.
happy about it. I'm happy about it bringing Dipoto back. I was a little worried that he was going to be gone, but just because this is the thing is like it's like the devil,
Oh yeah.
Like okay, so he's going to replace him
Yeah.
with Theo Epstein's not walking through that door.
No.
So.
No. Although, in a perfect world for you guys, right? Like,
Well, that was the thing. Is like, well, who are you going to get? I don't know. Theo Epstein. Yeah, right. Okay, let's stick with Dipoto. Okay.
yeah,
All
exactly.
right, before we wrap things up here and we get on to the Mount Rushmore, let's actually talk about the White Sox for a minute.
Yeah.
The White Sox GM is a little surprised the team is this bad.
He said that. A little surprised.
A little surprised. Are you a little surprised? So this is actually like super duper funny to me. Like I love this whole thing. It's Chris Getz saying this. He says, "If you would have told me we are going to end up flirting with the record, I would have been a little surprised." Getz said on Monday. This is according to MLB.com. Scott Merkin. Now, if you would have told me prior to the year that we would have ended up with with over 100 losses, 105, 110, I wouldn't have been that surprised. I knew we were going to be really bad, but I didn't know we were going to be historically bad. Yikes.
We're going to lose 110?
Oh.
That sounds right. That's all right. It's going to be fine.
Brig, how do you go into a season and be like, yeah, we're probably going to lose 110 games? Like, nobody loses 110 games.
Well,
how can you be confident in like that you've done even a mediocre job? They're like, well, this year that's just them's the bricks going to lose 110 games. Like,
it's sub-mediocre. The expectation was for less than mediocre. Now, to be fair, this was his first full season as the GM. So I wonder if he's doing expectation management as part of a PR, it's not me, it's them kind of a thing. Like, I can see that.
Maybe.
I can see that. They've had a lot of turmoil, and he wants to distance himself from it, but it does not bode well for taking accountability. And it certainly does not bode well. If I was the White Sox fans, but look, if Brian Cashman came out and said, I expected us to lose, I don't know, 110 games, like, we'd all have our pitchforks out, like, for real. You know what I mean? Like, then you do not belong, A, in this role, B, in this town, C, in this game. Like, you don't belong, man.
Right.
So it would just be crazy. The fact that he's admitting to this publicly.
So my big thing with it is that like there is such thing as a tear down period and a rebuilding period, right? Where you're going to lose a lot of games, likely to lose 100. If he had said 100, maybe if he had stopped at 105, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. That's a rebuild, right? But you don't go, I'm sorry, but you don't go to 110 because that's bad. That's really, really, really bad. I'm curious. Before we move on. I want to know. Now I want to know who lost 110 games last time a team lost 110 games.
While you're looking that up, let me say that in a perfect world, he would have come right behind that. Okay, I expected us to lose big this year. First of all, he shouldn't have quantified it, but then he should have come immediately behind that and said, but we believe in the plan, we believe in the team, we believe in the farm system, we've got the developmental blah, blah, blah. And he should have started campaigning, but he didn't. He just said, yeah, I kind of expected us to lose maybe even 110 games this year. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? And they fired the last guy in the middle of the season last year, and you're going to come and in your first full season, you're going to say, yeah, 110 losses, that's not a big deal. Come on, dude. Rome is burning in Chicago right now, and you're going to be nonchalant? Nope. Absolutely.
Okay, so last year the last year the A's were like really, really bad. Everybody was saying, man, this is a historically bad team. They lost 112. Ooh. In 2021, we had not only the Orioles, but also the Diamondbacks. Both lost 110 games.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then let's check one more. We'll look at 2019 real quick. The Tigers lost 114 in 2019. So, but the thing is like, you look at how bad those teams are, though. It's like, that's really, really, really bad. Right.
But now,
and for you to be like, yeah, I was expecting this team to be that bad.
Nope. That's bad news bears, bro.
Yeah. Cause I feel like there's some stuff that has to really go wrong to lose 110.
So some context, some baseball history for you. The 1962 Mets, the New York Mets, they set the modern record. They currently hold the modern record with 120 losses in a season, in case you didn't know about that already. But the White Sox are currently on pace to finish the year with 37 wins and 125 losses. That would be second all time behind the 1899 Cleveland Spiders with the all-time record for most losses in a season at 134. And that was, I think, when they had 154 game seasons instead of
That's what I'm going to look real
162.
quick.
Yeah.
Is it 1899?
Yeah.
Yeah, they played 174 games. Oh no, they played 154 games that year.
I was going to say 154.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
They were 20 and 134.
Ooh, that stings. That's something awful.
Oof. So it makes a little bit more sense why the Indians did not go with the Spiders. You don't want that.
For sure.
Hey,
can I do this one?
Go for it.
All right, baseball family. I'm excited about this. Today in baseball history, September 10th, 1989, 5 days after hitting a home run for the Yankees in a 12-2 win over the Mariners, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, returns a punt 68 yards for a touchdown in his NFL debut with the Atlanta Falcons. He is the first professional player to hit a home run and score a touchdown in the same week at the professional level.
That's so good.
Isn't that amazing?
I love it. That's absolutely amazing.
Like, yes. That's the coolest thing.
I'm curious. I wonder if Bo Jackson ever did. I don't want to look it up right now. Maybe I'll look it up another time. But curious if Bo Jackson ever did that.
Good question.
You would think, but I don't know.
He didn't have the speed Prime did, though. No way. Prime time was
You kidding me? You kidding me? Yes, he did.
Jackson, you think Bo Jackson was as fast as Prime time? No.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
We're looking right now.
Yeah, you ask anybody, he was at least as fast as Prime time.
Okay.
Absolutely, he was.
All right, listen. Best 100-meter time in high school was 10.44 seconds. That's not helpful. When he was at Auburn, he dropped it to 10:39.
Look at the 40. Okay, I have this right here.
I'm trying to find it.
The 7 fastest 40-yard dash times in NFL Combine history. So, okay, so Deion Sanders ran a 4.21, somewhere between a 4.21 and 4.27. Bo Jackson, allegedly, they say, ran a 4.18. And I actually read something yesterday that had him sub 4, and he's like, "That there's no way that can be real. I'm not going to accept that number." And so he accepted the 4.18.
No way he was that much faster than Deion.
Yeah.
No way.
That's the thing, man. That's the thing, is that people talk about Bo Jackson being an absolute freak of nature and being an unreal athlete. It was the injuries that were the problem. That if he'd stayed healthy, he'd have been a Hall of Famer in MLB and the NFL.
Wow.
If he'd been but that dang hip, man.
So here's a quote. I don't know who this is from. Hold on. I'm going to pull this up. This is amazing. Okay. All right, look. Somebody said, why is this not attributed to anybody? Okay, this is ridiculous. There's a quote here. We got to find out who said this, because they said Jackson was a surefire superstar in the making in the NFL, and when he eventually did lace him up, lived up to the hype the second he took the field. Bo wasn't a person. He was a walking video game joystick. Oh, and he was even faster than Deion. Who said this? Where's the attribution? Oh man, that's fabulous. That's fabulous.
Man, I'm telling you.
Well, he's just so much bigger. You wouldn't think that he'd be faster.
Well, right. Yeah. Well, and I think that having to tackle Bo Jackson is where Deion Sanders came up with the phrase, "You make a business decision, you let the guy run by."
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's where that comes from.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, baseball family, with that, we are going to take a quick break, and we'll get back with a previously recorded episode or segment where we talk about the White Sox Mt. Rushmore.
At Baseball Together, we love repping our teams. Between hats, jerseys, t-shirts, and pretty much anything else you can think of, we get it from Fanatics. You can shop your favorite MLB, NFL, NBA, MLS, hockey teams, and beyond on Fanatics.com. Click the link in the description or take a picture of that QR code and support the show. Get your gear for the regular season, the postseason, and the off-season from Fanatics. Welcome back, baseball family. We are going to get into our picks for the Chicago White Sox Mount Rushmore, as we said. However, we're going to do a little bit of an info dump on you really quick, just so you can kind of get an idea of the franchise and where they're coming from. Do you want to do where the team name came from real quick?
Yeah, I'll do that first. So this is according to teamnameorigin.com. So the Chicago White Sox were originally the Sioux City Cornhuskers, and then they were the St. Paul Saints of the Western League. And then Charles Comiskey moved the Saints to Chicago in 1900 when the Western League joined the American League of MLB.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so after relocating to the south side of Chicago, Comiskey adopted the name the White Stockings.
Right.
And then in 1904, and actually, real quick, the White Stockings used to be the Cubs name before they were the Cubs.
Correct.
So there's that.
You need to know that.
So then in 1904, changed to the White Sox, SOCKS, and then to the White Sox, SOX.
Right.
And then now the White Sox, SUX.
Bro.
So
just as of
there's
this season. Just this season.
Yes.
But also, yeah. Unless Tommy Pham is hot. But who knows if that's still going. This is previously recorded.
Indeed.
All right, baseball family. Chicago White Sox have had 124 seasons in their franchise history from 1901 to 2024 so far. Their record is 9,567 games to 9,523 games. That's a 501 win-loss percentage. The playoff appearances have been 11 total, 6 pennants, 3 world championships. Winningest manager is Jimmy Dykes, who had a .489 win percentage through his term as White Sox manager.
It's interesting to think that they've only had 11 playoff appearances.
Yeah.
During that time.
It's one a decade.
That doesn't make me feel so bad as a Mariners fan.
Right. That makes sense. The years they won the World Series were 2005, obviously. And then not again until 1917.
Yep.
And before that, 1906. Those are their World Series victories, not appearances. There have been other appearances. Those are the wins.
Yeah. That's craziness. So they went 1917 to 2005.
Yeah.
That's almost as long as the Cubs did.
Yeah.
Man, what a drought for Chicago baseball.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Didn't think about it that way until just this minute.
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
Wolf.
Not until just this moment. Okay, let's get into our Mount Rushmore nominees.
Yeah.
One thing, baseball family, that Brig and I noticed going through this is that there are some organizations that feel transient.
Yeah.
That players come through and they don't stay for a really, really long time. The Angels previously has been one of them that we found. That it was really hard to do this because there are not a lot of guys who stuck around in Anaheim and played for the Angels for
extended periods of time,
and who were great players.
Right.
So another one is the White Sox. So there's a good chance we're going to overlap quite a bit. Spoilers, we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. So I want to start with one of my favorite players ever. One of my favorite players from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like one of my best friends when I was a kid in elementary school, Frank Thomas was his favorite player.
Frank Thomas.
Yes. So Frank Thomas, the big hurt. Frank Thomas is a Hall of Famer, 2-time MVP, 5-time All-Star, won a batting title, which is crazy for a guy with his kind of power. The fact that he won a batting title. Major League Player of the Year, 4-time Silver Slugger, member of the 500 Home Run Club, and has a Home Run Derby championship to boot. He led the league in doubles once, walks 4 times, because who wants to pitch to that dude, especially in his prime. He, again, led the league in batting average 1 time. That was his batting title. On base percentage 4 times, slugging once, OPS 4 times, and sack flies 1 time.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a 7-year peak, 91 to 97. He fell off for a couple of years and had a little bit of resurgence in 2000, where he actually finished runner-up in the MVP voting. So it's
really that late?
that late.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the way his career was like super duper duper high, and then he had a couple down years, and then 2000 he had a really great year again.
Yeah.
Like I said, runner up in the MVP voting, and that's huge.
Yeah.
Like I said, for a guy like Frank Thomas, because as big as he was physically, he was always that big when he came into the league, and I don't think I've ever seen his name attached to steroids.
No, never.
Like him and Griffey were like the dudes who didn't.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
So it's really interesting to see Frank Thomas, because that's the other thing, is that you can almost justify or defend it right off the bat with that, no pun intended, that his career had a natural progression.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That he didn't, that resurgence in 2000 did not continue into 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or 7, or even 8.
Where exactly?
He stuck around, but he wasn't a slugger still. If he was doing steroids, he still would have been a slugger into 2007.
For sure. That's a good point. I like that.
So anyway, I feel like Frank Thomas defined the White Sox during our childhood during the 90s.
For sure.
And so he was an automatic super duh, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I happen to agree with you.
I figured you would.
And along with everything Brad already pointed out, I had a couple of little like nuggets to drop on you. Did you know he won 2 MVPs, right?
Yeah,
you mentioned.
Yeah.
But he's the only White Sox player ever to win multiple MVPs.
I can see that. That makes sense. Yeah.
But did you know that he went 9 seasons with 101 runs or more, 100, at least 100 RBIs and 100 walks? He did that 9 seasons. The only other players in history to do it at least or more are Barry Bonds with 10.
Makes sense.
And Ruth and Gehrig both have 11.
Wow.
Yep, that's 100 runs, RBIs, and walks all in the same season.
That's some pretty elite company.
That's a pretty good list to be on there.
Yeah, it is. Like it just going back and remembering the kind of hitter he was. Mm-hmm. Like I said, like it's crazy to see somebody who had that much power, was that big, and it's not just that pitchers were afraid to pitch to him because of his power, but because he was such a great raw hitter.
Well, he's intimidating too.
Well, I wouldn't want to pitch to anybody that big.
Right.
So when I was in middle school and high school playing City League, like our City League, like Babe Ruth League, there was a dude who we all went to school with. He was a year older than me. He ended up playing offensive line at University of Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Big dude.
Yeah.
And with everybody in the league, I had no problem playing up on the grass if I was playing third base.
Right.
When he came up, I moved to the back of the dirt.
Yeah. You're like,
because I was like, he's not fast enough that I'm not going to be able to take a couple of hops to throw the ball, but he's going to hit it hard enough at me that I'm going to have a lot of time to get that throw over.
Makes sense.
So he was really scary. That's
scary.
what I imagine it being like with Frank Thomas up there.
Yeah.
But Frank Thomas didn't have a metal bat.
You might as well have
a loaded Omaha classic metal bat, whatever it was that we were using back then that had bigger than Big League Pop.
All right. Pardon me.
Go ahead with your next one.
All right, my next one that's not Frank Thomas is he's a pitcher, actually, a lefty, and 5-time All-Star, 2005 World Series victor, 4-time Gold Glove. He has his number retired, which we should have done. We should have gone through and mentioned the retired numbers. But
that's all right.
We made it forget. Okay, this is none other than Mark Buehrle. Mark Buehrle had a 59.1 career WAR. Career ERA of 3.81, 1.281 whip. Whip is a total strikeout number of 1,870. And he spent most of his career in Chicago, 12 seasons to be exact. And during that time, he, won the World Series. Obviously, we talked about that. He also was an all-star selection 4 times, count on 4 times. And look at these defensive highlights.
That's one of the greatest plays ever made. That last one.
It is. It's truly so awesome.
Yeah.
So he he threw 2 no-hitters with his time in Chicago.
Wasn't one of them a perfect game?
One of them was a perfecto. Yep. One of them was a perfecto. And it was the 18th perfecto in Major League Baseball history at the time. That was in 2009, July 23rd. That was the second perfect game in White Sox history.
Really?
Yeah. The most previous one was 1922.
So the only other one?
Correct. The only most previous one, the single solitary perfecto most previousness to Mark Buehrle was in 1922. He's the only other one, okay? So he is responsible for the 16th and I think 17th no-hitter in franchise history. One of them was also a perfect game, obviously. He did one of them in 2007, one in 2009. That was the perfecto. The guy was automatic. He started as many games as anybody else. In 2004 and in 2008 with Chicago, he led the league in just games started. Innings pitched in 04 and in 05. He finished in the Cy Young voting, I think, did him dirty because he did a great job, but he only finished top 5 one time. That was in 2005.
Yeah, well, in that year, the winner was not A-Rod because he's not a pitcher.
Yeah.
That year was Bartolo Colon. So the four guys in front of him: Bartolo Colon, Mariano Rivera, Johan Santana, and Cliff Lee. Pretty good group.
Yeah, that's a pretty good group. Cliff Lee's terrible. If you didn't know, it's horrible.
He was when he was in
terrible.
He wasn't when he was in Seattle. He just had a bad attitude in Seattle.
I'm just teasing. Anyway, so I don't think because of his attachment to the perfecto, the no that wasn't a perfecto, and the World Series ring, easy got to be on the Mount Rushmore. He brought the old generation and that struggling team that he inherited, took them all the way.
Well, one thing about Buehrle too, because I also have him on my list.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. For all the same stuff you just said, all those, I just thought I'd let you run through it, and I could say I concur, sir. But one thing about Buehrle that's really interesting is that we have pitchers now who really struggle with the pitch clock. Buehrle would not have struggled with the pitch clock. That dude worked fast and furious. Yeah, and I think that probably contributed somewhat to his no-nos, right? His no-no and his perfecto.
Just disruptive.
Yeah, that you don't let batters get too comfortable in the box. You're throwing the next pitch before they've even had a chance to adjust their batting gloves at the time. So, right.
With Noma.
Yeah, I think that's significant. The fact that it worked for him and worked well for him, and that he was able to have the career that he did. So, yeah, I absolutely have Mark Buehrle on my Mount Rushmore as well.
How can you not? Well, and you saw the defensive opportunities there.
Yeah,
guy's amazing.
Well, people kind of dump on pitchers for not playing defense
because they're not athletic enough,
right? And some of them aren't. I think they'll admit it,
of course,
right? But clearly, Buehrle, even being a burly dude, pun intended, was able to fill this position, and good for him.
Yeah.
And that's got to help with no-nos and perfectos too.
For sure.
Love it.
All right, you got another one?
I got another one.
Can we overlap again? I'll bet we do.
Yeah, I've got a controversial one. Should I go with the controversial one now, or the?
I don't know what you have, so go ahead.
I'll go with the no-brainer and end with the controversial one. Okay, so this next guy, I'm gonna just Paul Konerko.
What?
Yeah. Did you have him?
Yeah.
Probably, I would assume. So Paul Konerko, great player. Did he spent like his entire career in Chicago, didn't he? Almost. So his first couple years he was in LA and then Cincinnati for a year, which is funny because I somehow remember him in Cincinnati. I don't remember how. But look at this toughness. So he gets hit in the face right here. This is game 1 of the World Series, game 2.
I don't remember.
First inning of a World Series game. And then he stays in the game. Third inning, grand slam.
Just a homer.
Was it a home? I thought it was a grand slam.
No, he goes in. I think there's one runner on, and he dumps one into left field bleachers.
Okay.
No, doesn't matter. He still gets hit in the face, stays in the game, comes back up, his next at bat, and he bombs one into the left field.
Yeah, absolute toughness. It was a grand slam.
It was?
It was. Yeah, in game 2. Yeah, those were his only 4 RBIs in the World Series. He went 4 for 16 in the World Series. And Jermaine Dye ended up winning the MVP because he had like 7 hits or something like that. But Konerko, I feel like that anytime you hit a grand slam, obviously it's going to have a significant impact because it's a bunch of runs all at once.
Oh, yeah.
But overall, though, Konerko, 6-time All-Star, 2005 ALCS MVP. He is a member of the 400 home run club, which is a significant achievement,
Yeah.
I feel like, as well. And like we mentioned, he's on the 2005 team that won the World Series.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. There are certain guys, like I always go back to Todd Helton when I think of him with the Rockies. Konerko's another guy. If you're going to name 4 or 5 guys, Konerko's going to be one of the first ones that pops up.
Yeah.
When you're naming a White Sox. Right?
Yeah. Right off the top of your head?
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time trying to justify not including him in my group.
Yeah. Not me. I was like, this guy.
Because it felt like a little bit of a cop-out because it was too easy.
I know.
I didn't want my list to be that easy, but I couldn't find anybody who was better.
You know why he's on my list?
Tell me why.
Because he led the league in nothing ever.
And that's one of the reasons I was trying to justify. The only time he led the league in anything was grounded into double play.
Yeah,
in 2003.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, his highest MVP vote was 5. And that was
6.
Or 6, sorry.
Oh, no, it was 5. You're right. My bad.
It's 5 in 2010 and 6 in 2005.
Yeah.
Everything else, he has a 22 placement and a 16 placement. That's it in MVP voting. Everything else was just a handful of All-Star selections. I think 6 All-Star selections and a World Series. And that's it. So here's my point. The fact that when we think of, okay, who are the most iconic White Sox players, who can we not talk about the White Sox without naming? And he's on there, but he never led the league in anything. But he's clearly capable. I mean, he's a serviceable player. He's a 21 or 28.1 career WAR, career batting, 279. You know,
well, and part of it is because he was there forever.
Yeah, but this is not a Hall of Fame inductee list.
No,
this This is the White Sox storyline list for me. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's how I look at it too. Is if you're gonna have guys you can't tell the story without, you've got to have these guys.
Yep, and that's
why I included my controversial person at the end. But we'll get there.
Okay, I have an idea who it might be.
I don't think you do. Go ahead with your next one.
Fine. So I only have one more. Can you believe that? So I have only one more, and this one surprised me. Let me say that because once I looked at the numbers, I was like, yeah, okay, I shouldn't be surprised. But he's not a top of mind guy because of the era. Okay, it's my youth is the problem. I'm going to talk about Minnie Minoso. Okay, Cuban born. Let me pull up his video here because it's really cool. Minnie Minoso, Cuban born. He was a left fielder and third baseman. Currently, you can find him in the Hall of Fame. 13-time All-Star, 1947 World Series champion, 3-time Gold Glove. Career WAR 53.3 with a batting average 299 over his career. He led the league in everything eventually. Like, over time, he hit every single statistic. He spent 12 years with the White Sox. And in that time, obviously, like I said, he won a World Series. And but look, he led the league in hit by pitch in 52, 53, 54, 56, 7, 8, 9, 60, 61.
I wonder if he was one of those guys who just crowded the plate.
I gotta be.
Was basically standing on top of it the whole time.
23 hit by pitch. In 1956, he was hit by a pitch 23 times. That led the league. He was MVP number 27 vote.
Look at the next year. Look at the next year.
Yeah, and then he goes up to the 8th slot in a Gold Glove with an All-Star selection.
With 21 hit by pitch.
With 21 hits by pitch. But he also that season worked 15 walks, which is a lead leaguing.
No, he walked. That's 79 walks.
I just said lead leaguing again, didn't I?
You did. Yeah, it's late.
Why do I do that? And then
so it's 79 walks. He got caught stealing 15 times.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Which also led the league, but the fact that he was still attempting. I love that he was attempting.
Yeah, I do too. Well, that's what baseball was old school anyway. So.
Yeah. So you didn't share his nickname though. He has one of the coolest names I've ever.
Go ahead. Is he on your list too?
No, he's
Oh,
not.
okay. What? Tell
But
everybody.
I did look at him.
Yeah.
He's the Cuban Comet. I
So
love
awesome.
that nickname.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
We need another Cuban Comet in Major League Baseball.
We really do. Oh, can you?
Or-
Can you recycle nicknames like that?
They do. I mean, how many guys do
Sometimes.
we have nicknamed the Kid? Right? How many people have been the Man or the Machine?
There's only 2 men, and one of them asked permission.
Right.
This is not a screw-upable topic.
I understand. I understand. I'm just saying that we've had guys with multiple, and I mean, we talked about the A's, right? There were 10 guys who went by Lefty.
Yeah, you're right.
So
You're exactly
super
right.
original nickname. I can't get over it.
That's true.
If a dude was a left-hander in the early 1900s, his name was Lefty.
He's just old Lefty.
So there's that. Okay.
Okay, I don't have any left.
Okay, I'll get into my last one.
Do you have one?
I have one more.
Okay.
One more. It is controversial. So we all know about the 1919 Black Sox.
Don't do this to us.
I'm going to do this to you. It's not Joe Jackson.
What?
Yeah, it is.
Wait, if you were gonna, that's what I was thinking. You said controversial, and I immediately went to Shoeless Joe.
I know you did. That's why I said you didn't know.
Okay.
So I chose Eddie Cicotte.
Oh.
So don't roll the video yet. Don't roll the video yet. Let me tell you why I didn't choose Shoeless Joe. Okay. Shoeless Joe Jackson played for the White Sox for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
He also played in Cleveland for 6 years.
Yes.
His best years of his career?
Cleveland.
For sure. Eddie Cicotte was a fantastic pitcher for the White Sox. He played for them for 9 years. The knuckleballer.
Right?
Love it.
Love that.
Therefore, his nickname was
Knuckleballer.
Knuckles.
Knuckles. My nephew calls Knuckles, the Sonic character, Knuckles, Knucks.
Knucks. Love it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to push play on the video.
Go for it. So, yes, he was one of the players to help fix the 1919 World Series, but he led the league with 30 complete games. 1 point, his walk per 9 was 1.4. In the World Series, he pitched in 3 games, 2 complete games, 2.91 ERA, 7 strikeouts, 7 walks, 9 runs, 7 earned. I'm sure that some of those errors that led to those unearned runs were probably intentional by somebody else in the field, right?
I mean, it was collusion at the highest level.
Right,
So.
and 1 hit by pitch. Okay. Mm-hmm. This man is a 6-time All-Star. That's not true. That jumped down to my Paul Konerko notes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's true.
That is absolutely not true. But I am going to, I mean, in 1917, he led the league in ERA, 1.53.
Yeah.
He led in innings pitched a couple times, batters faced, ERA plus. Whip with a sub-1 whip in 1917. Granted, different era.
Sure.
Different way of playing the game.
Sure,
right? But the fact that you're not allowing 1 runner per inning through the course of an entire season.
Yeah.
When he started, where is it? Where'd it go? I got it right here.
You got it.
He appeared in 49 games.
That's it? I'm just kidding.
As a pitcher?
That's a joke.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah. 35 starts. And he threw 29 complete games. Because he was a knuckleballer. And it was 1917.
Right. Which was like revolutionary.
Right. Yeah, so one of the things I looked at with him is that he had several trick pitches. He had names of pitches I had no idea what they were, what they did.
I'm sure that's true.
But the knuckleball was what he was most known for and was what led to most of his success. But gambling was his downfall. Not necessarily gambling as his involvement.
Well, he was kind of like the chieftain.
Well, then absolutely he belongs on the Mount Rushmore.
What?
Brig, how much of the Black Sox scandal tells the story of the White Sox? How often does that come up in baseball conversation?
60% of the time?
Every time, right? 60% of the time, every time.
That was an alley-oop.
I appreciate that. You're getting good at tossing up lobs. I appreciate it. But I feel like you have to have somebody from that group on the Mount Rushmore because it is such a part of the team's history. Mm-hmm. There are several movies made about it. One of the greatest baseball movies in the history of history
Field
is
of,
part of this.
Field of
Field
Dreams. Yeah. It
Right?
does. It
So-
does. It scooped this up. Well, An 8 Man Out isn't a terrible film.
That's what I hear.
The book is fabulous, Baseball Family. If you
Yeah.
have not read the book, it is really good.
Yeah.
Did you know that Eddie Seacott has threw a no-hitter in 1917
That makes sense.
for the Chicago White
That
Sox?
that was like his career year.
That was the
1917.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was before the gambling and corruption.
It's crazy to think that somebody who had that good of a career and won the World Series in 1917, and maybe that's why they were so, I don't want to say so willing, but why they were willing to fix the World Series in 1919, because they weren't hungry anymore.
Nope. That's
They
not
already
it.
won it.
No. The history is well documented. And here's what happened. They were being taken advantage of by the ownership. And they were not earning the shares that they thought they ought to be earning. They felt disillusioned and disenfranchised by how they were being treated as employees of the club. And so they were like, all right, well, we need to get paid somehow because nobody's listening to us.
And that's what they decided to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's one of the things I'm saying, though. Is
Crazy.
At what point does the money become more important than the winning?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we've got a World Series. What we don't have is money.
Yeah,
Is what I'm
exactly.
saying.
Yeah,
Right? Could be. I don't know if that's
I'm
necessarily
just
the case.
saying.
And it was a different time back then.
totally.
You know, like people, and that's the thing is people get all over the case of the modern athlete for wanting to get paid the way that they do.
It's not
But
modern.
it's always been that
That's
way.
not a modern problem.
No.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure since the 1800s when lefty screwball, whatever, I don't know, was like, I would love to be playing baseball full time, see, but they don't pay me enough, see? This
Yeah.
is the problem,
Right.
see?
Casey at the bat.
Yeah.
Casey, what was his name? Casey something.
Casey at the bat with
the Mudhounds.
Mudville.
The Mudville
Mud Hens.
Mud Ends. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so where's the line? And we'll ask Baseball Family this. Baseball Family, where's the line? If we're talking about a Mount Rushmore, under the premise that you cannot tell the story of the franchise without these names, must they all be celebrated parts of the history, or is there room for controversial names like Eddie Seacott or Joe Jackson or others that have or will continue to come up? Because that's a really important distinction when we, not for this silly thing we're doing with the Mount Rushmores, but
Right.
but when we think about the history of this game that we love, which is rich and nuanced and full of far more complexity than most people give it credit for, it's interesting to think that we're dealing with the same problems today with the issues between the Players Association and Major League Baseball and the ownership groups as they were then. They just weren't protected then. That's the only difference.
And we've had a gambling scandal this year even.
Exactly.
Right? Like 100 years later, things aren't much different than what they were then. Bigger scale? Sure.
For sure.
A little bit different investigation, probably.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Like I said, I haven't watched or read 8 Men Out, so I don't know what the public perception was of Joe Jackson being involved with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. That if people were like, well, you can't suspend Joe Jackson forever.
He's
shoeless Joe.
It was very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's just like Ohtani and just like Pete Rose. I guess it's every 50, 60 years?
It seems that way now that you pointed out. But here's the thing about Joe Jackson, though, is that he was aware of the scandal, but
Right.
so he didn't say anything.
Well, he played his butt off during the World Series.
And people say, well, how can you take a look at these stats and how he performed and call him to say he was dumping the games?
Right. And the thing that I do know about it is it sounded, from what I understand, the deal would have been off if Jackson wasn't in on it. So
he was the key.
Yeah.
Well, he and Seacott were the two guys that if they could, because it wasn't Seacott's idea, they had to massage Seacott into it.
Makes sense.
And Seacott, anyway, go read the book.
Because Seacott pitched well too.
He most of the time, not the whole time.
Well, I mean, I feel like 7 strikeouts, 7 walks is pretty on par for a knuckleballer in that era.
Man. But in that era, I don't know.
Knuckleballers are going to walk a lot of dudes.
That's true.
Naturally. And they're going to hit a guy or two.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you're right.
You don't know where it's going.
Yeah, neither do they. Nobody does.
Yeah, exactly right. That's the point of the pitch.
Yeah. All right, Baseball Family. Well, this was a great conversation. We really want to know what you think because we just waxed all kind of philosophical all over you. And it was super fun for us because this is the stuff we think about. We hope you think about it too, either now or, have before.
Someday.
The point is, tell us what you think. Did we miss completely wide of the zone on the Mount Rushmore for the White Sox? Did we nail it? Is there somebody you think we had to put on there that we didn't? Is there somebody that we put on there that you think absolutely does not belong on there?
Probably C-Cobb, but that's fine.
Just let us know if you agree with me or if you agree with Brad. We would like to know because we always overlap, but we've never disagreed this much.
Right.
This is the first time we've ever this hard disagreed.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, baseball family. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review the show. Make sure you hit us with a thumbs up. Subscribe on YouTube. That's the best place to get a hold of us. And with that, we will catch you next week.